I think you should always have somebody that's leading you, and then I think you have to reach behind and pull somebody along the way, because we're blessed to be a blessing. I'll be honest with you, from 2001 to 2008 in my arena, business arena, you couldn't do anything wrong. It was like Michael Jordan shooting Steph Curry, just boom, just money. But what I could control was my mindset and my actions and my attitude. I'm a huge advocate of coaching. I still coach today. I think it's very important that we're coached, because what a coach can do is that you know the play to run. But a lot of times we get in our own way and we think we're doing the things, we think we're saying the right things, but we're really not. When you're at the top, everybody's trying to knock you off. When you're at the bottom, nobody's really reaching down and trying to pick you up. When you start serving others, guess what happens? It comes back tenfold every time. We always are focused on the gap of what we don't have versus the gain of where we are today. Too many people, they think whatever they're doing today is going to be forever. And they don't pivot, they don't adjust, they don't ask questions because they look weak.
So today, Muddy Waters Clear Vision, I have my buddy Ryan LaRussa here. Ryan, welcome.
Welcome. So glad to be honored.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. So when you fall out of bed in the morning, what is it that you go and do, Ryan?
Honestly, the first thing I do is I hit my knees.
All right, I like that.
And I thank the good Lord for the day that He's given me, because I know it's a huge opportunity. I don't take it lightly. We have the opportunity to help people in the residential financial world, buying a house, refinancing a house, renovations, and things like that. I have an awesome small knit team here in Baton Rouge, and we help people all across the country. That's what we do.
All right, and the name of your company?
Synergy One Lending.
Awesome, love it. Okay, so take us back to the beginning. Ryan is from where? Born and raised. Talk to us a little bit about where you grew up.
I didn't know you were going to go there. So right here, born and raised, Baton Rouge, Bel Air High School.
Really?
Bel Air High School.
Yeah.
So
What year?
97.
Okay, awesome.
Mighty Bengal, and then went right down the road to Southeastern, Mighty Lion. So keeping it in that family. Graduated in 2001, and honestly, Stuart, had no idea what I wanted to do. So now I get to give back. I mentor a lot of young men, my son, and a lot of the guys. And I always talk about that. I say, guys, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I think it's surrounding yourself with the right people, getting around the right room. And so a buddy of mine said, hey, why don't you come try this mortgage thing out? I couldn't spell mortgage, never heard of mortgage. Never even owned a house, didn't know anything about it, right? And so got into the subprime industry back in 2001. Small company that actually it was cool to be around. We had 100 loan officers here in Louisiana. We had 150 in Atlanta, some in Phoenix, and in Indiana as well. So probably 400 or 500 loan originators. That was a subprime boom that was going on. You know, if 7% was the interest rate, unfortunately we were charging 8.5% to 10%. That's just what it was. That's what I was taught. And then I had a cool mentor came to me and said, hey man, I'm looking to form a small knit community of high producing, high individuals, high character. I'd like for you to come. And that's where I met Toby Arsenault, which is, he and I are still together today.
Okay, gotcha.
And he's been one of those guys, been a great leader, great mentor, and now 25 years later, still doing the same thing, doing origination for loans. And then again, I have a small team around me. So that's the fast version, but there's a lot of muddy stuff in between, which I'm sure we're going to get into today.
Yeah, you're like, let's get past that stuff so we get to the muddy part. I am curious, like, we're going to talk a little bit about your leadership style, but I am curious, like, just growing up, were there some people in your life, like leaders or business owners, entrepreneurs, who were maybe inspiring you to be in the pathway that you are now? Talk a little bit about who some of those people were and what did they mean to you?
Yeah. So first of all, I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, but I was raised by a single mom.
Okay.
And an Italian single mom as well. So very, very, very structured. We didn't play at my household. My mom didn't mess around.
She was mom and dad?
She was mom and daddy and everything in between. And I joke about that, but it was instrumental that I had a couple key mentors, coaches, as well as a few father figures come along that really instilled, hey, show up early, stay late, do whatever it takes, high integrity. And that's kind of how I operate today. A lot of people call me rigid. I'm a very process-oriented guy, but that's kind of I think we learn from the past, whether it's good or bad. Julio, and I are really, really good. We meet often, but we talk about that. I think the upbringing of how we were brought up really impacts what we do today. And there is no gray with me. It's pretty white or black. And honestly, we always expect the unexpected, because I know that if we don't, it could sneak up on you. And in business and in your faith and what you're doing, like how you show up is super important. So we show up and we execute at a high level.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So you said you had a few like father figures or mentors, coaches.
Yeah.
Is there any of those in particular that like you just immediately go back to, and maybe there's a story or two from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got two. If you got time for that. Number one, his name was Butch.
What's your podcast?
Yeah. So I'm here with you. So Butch Strother was Coach Butch was that guy to where,
Man, I hadn't thought about Butch. That's crazy. You said his name.
He just brought it every day. And, one of the things about Butch, Joey and I were great friends. I went to Millerville Academy, and Butch was that guy that I played football, baseball, basketball for Butch, but Butch didn't play. You knew every day you better bring it to practice, you better bring it in the game. So that was one. And then Jim Bickley, which is Doug Bickley's dad, Mr. Jim. Still see him. He comes in my office about 3 or 4 days a week, and he'll sit down and just interrupt my day. But Jim, so you talk about
it's like the coaching that never left.
That's right. So Butch was the hard nose, just drive, and Jim was more of that steady show up. You knew what you were going to get, but he didn't play around either. Taught me work ethic and just how you show up and your integrity. Do what you say you're going to do. There is no other way of doing it. So those two guys had a huge impact. And then going back to coaches at Bel Air, Mark Carroll, baseball coach. He was that guy that through that high school years, we messed up, man. We were not perfect. But he was that guy that he would beat you down, but then he would build you right back up. And so those are a couple guys that had a huge impact on me in my life. And now I'm trying to do that for others, right? Give back. I think you should always have somebody that's leading you. And then I think you have to reach behind and pull somebody along the way, because we're blessed to be a blessing. And so that's kind of how I operate. I have a cool now and today in my mortgage career, Adam Woods, which is part of my team, and Saida Hines, both younger than me. But it's so cool when you're a part of something great, man. It's not about what we do. It's about what we can help others accomplish. And so that's kind of the mentality that we have, and that's what we do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you perfect segue. So I want to ask you, how would you describe your leadership style?
I think for me, one of the cautions that I have to have is that every day I'm very serious. Like the first thing I do when I wake up, I thank God for the things that he's given me, the people that are around me. Super grateful, super thankful, because I'm very process driven, which can come across as not being thankful enough. I just have a very high expectation. And sometimes that comes across a little wrong. That's not my intent. But Julio and I were just talking about this. It's the fourth quarter. So right now we're looking back over what we did this year, but we know what we do today doesn't come to fruition for 90 days. So I take that very seriously. Every single day I show up with the anticipation of, what if this happens? What are we going to do, and how are we going to do it? So my leadership style is very process oriented. Doug, my best buddy, he's very loosey-goosey. He gets stuff done. He gets the result, but it's a totally different leadership style. So for me, process driven.
Yeah. And how would Adam, how would he describe it?
I think he'd say pretty much the same thing. We laugh and we joke a lot of times. He's like, man, do you ever rest? And, part of me from the rest perspective is being a man of faith. I understand that you got to work 6 days and you got to take a day off and rest. And that's hard for a guy with high expectations. And not that I want to be perfect, but I want to leave a huge legacy, not just for myself, but for others. And I think that that's how we show up. I think God says, hey, man, Give me your best in all areas of your life. I'm a big guy that focuses on every area, not just business. How are you showing up at home? How are you showing up for your kids? How are you showing up for your church? What are you doing? That's kind of how I see it. I'm not saying how I see it's right, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, all right. So Muddy Waters Clear Vision, talk to me a little bit. Well, you said earlier when we get into the Muddy Waters part, should I get Fagin to go put on some popcorn?
Yeah,
and put on a pot of coffee?
It's about to get real. So I'll be honest with you, from 2001 to 2008 in my business arena, you couldn't do anything wrong. It was like Michael Jordan shooting Steph Curry, just boom, just money. 2008, huge mortgage meltdown.
Yes.
I had
we all remember very clearly, right?
Some of us do, but some of us really remember, right? So I had 2 children. My wife at the time, Chantel, which is still my wife today, we've been married 25 years. She wasn't working. We're raising 2 kids. Income's down 60 to 70%. Oh, yeah, all the money you had in the stock market, that's gone too. And so at that point, it was like, what are you really doing? You talk about, you look around and be like, man, you better have somebody that's got your back. My wife had my back. I looked around and I had Doug and Toby. We had, before that, we had about 35 employees. We went down to about 5. So, I mean, I'm talking about massive correction of the market. And it really taught me the value of having all your eggs in one basket. And look, I'm one of those guys that I understand diversification, but when you don't have it and you don't know where to go to get it, you start having to lean on your resources. And thank God I had some cool relationships at that point, started kind of getting, buying some real estate and diversifying into some different things. But it's super scary. And when your back's against the wall, you better have some people that you can turn to and get some good sound advice. And so for me, I had 2 guys that just happened to be in the same boat that I was in, but we locked arms together, and it taught me like, hey man, when the chips are down, now it's time to really double down on your relationships, double down on things that what can you do to control it? I can't control the market. I couldn't do anything about it. It didn't matter who you knew. You couldn't get a deal done. You couldn't get a deal to the closing table. But what I could control was my mindset and my actions and my attitude. And thank God, I just look back at that time for the 08 to 2010, brutal. And then we withstood that. And then we saw the fruits of that all the way until 2016, flood of 2016. Man, we had a tremendous amount of clients that were flooded, out of work, things like that. So I joined Synergy One Lending at the beginning of this year, but for 17 years I was with GMFS Mortgage, T. Brown and those guys, Billy Maxwell, Tom Dale, great relationship. Because in 2008, when I had nothing going at all, those guys gave us the lifeline to be able to marry with them and help build the retail platform. And then earlier this year, there was a great opportunity that we just couldn't pass up. But the point of it is you go back and you look at how God had his hand on those relationships that we had. And that was some very testing times. So
yeah, thank you for sharing that. But if I take you back to that time, can you put yourself back in a place where it just felt like it was kind of ground zero?
Yeah.
Like it was and what I'm curious about, you don't have to necessarily name what it is, but what I'm really curious about is like, what was the action or the response or the decision that you made from that you feel like you look back and you go, that was the thing that allowed me to kind of like move from ground zero.
Yeah, to pivot.
Yeah.
To pivot and turn, I think, number one, I'm a huge advocate of coaching. I still coach today. I think it's very important that we're coached, because what a coach can do, much like Butch, much like Jim, much like Coach Carroll, is that the play to run, right? But a lot of times we get in our own way and we think we're doing the things, we think we're saying the right things, but we're really not. And a coach can kind of help you get back on track quicker. That's it. They're not going to fix it. The coach can't play for you, but I think that they can point things out. And I know for me, I'm just very super thankful that I was able to get around coaching and mentorship that helped me through that, because I really don't believe without godly people around you and great relationships that you can exceed at a high level. I think you can have some good moments, But it's lonely at the top, Stuart. Nobody wants to be like when you're at the top, everybody's trying to knock you off. When you're at the bottom, nobody's really reaching down and trying to pick you up. So what are you doing? Who are you surrounding yourself with to where you can add value? Because when we're grateful, guess what? When we're grateful, the rest of the stuff it's always could be worse.
Yeah.
Somebody's always in a worse position. And so I think a coach helps you look through that. My pastor helps me look through that and be like, man, I hear what you're saying, but it's really not as bad as what you're painting. But in your mind, that's where the battlefield is, right?
No doubt.
Battlefield's right here. If we're not renewing that every day, then we can't. So getting around coaches, mentors, other businessmen, and when I'm down, and I still get down, I don't get down very, very often. When I go serve. And when you start serving others, guess what happens? It comes back tenfold every time. So that's kind of what I would say. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I relate very deeply to that, both of those, and I agree with that. So I'm curious, like, what would you go back and tell your younger self at this point? Like, what's the sage wisdom that you would pass back?
Yeah, well, right now, I tell you what I'm getting a chance to tell my younger men that I'm mentoring. Number one, you have to. It's in today's world, everything moves so fast. And look, I'm the old guy, typically in the room with these younger 18 to 20-year-olds guys.
I'm a year younger than you. Don't say you're the old guy.
So, but
you're the seasoned guy.
I think when if I go back and I look when I'm graduating from Southeastern, all the pressure, all the worldly things that we think we need to go do, it all really goes back to relationships. And there's this great book. I'm sure you read it. Ben Hardy, Dan Sullivan, those guys, they talk about the gap in the gain, right? We always are focused on the gap of what we don't have versus the gain of where we are today. So when I graduated, I had all this pressure on, oh my gosh, what am I going to go do? It was a relationship that got me into the mortgage business that met Toby, and then I get Doug involved. And now 25 years later, how cool is that? So relationships are everything. We focus so much on how is this going to happen, not who can help me get it done. That book, there's another book there.
Yeah.
Who, not how.
Not how.
Right?
Yeah,
so I think that's one of those things.
Giving all Dan Sullivan all the credit.
Man, Dan Sullivan's awesome. But I think the reality of it is we got to lean on the relationships, because you know somebody that I need to know. I know somebody that you need to know. But if we don't collaborate, which a lot of people, it's all about them. They think that if they give this away, and I'm all about give it away, man, it's going to come back to you tenfold. So that's what I've been telling a lot of the younger guys that I'm mentoring now. Get around guys. You don't know that you want to come be in the mortgage game. Come mentor me. Come hang out with me for a week, not for an hour, because for an hour you might see something you like. How about a week? How about 2 weeks? How about a month? And then you can say, you know what? I don't like that. Ryan, I want to go be in the industrial world. Make a phone call, get an introduction. You go check that out, right? Too many people, they think whatever they're doing today is going to be forever. And they don't pivot. They don't adjust. They don't ask questions because they look weak if I come to you and say, Stuart, I'm struggling with something, right? Too many guys are not really transparent with others. Another thing that's changed my life is I'm part of a small group. We meet every other Friday. Been doing that for 8 years now. And you look around that small group, and it's a table of guys that are all rowing in the same direction.
Yeah.
And when I'm struggling with something, or a kid's sick, or somebody business something, guess what? When you know you got other guys that are locked arms with you, that's what life's about, man. We're going to go do a loan today. We're going to do something tomorrow, but that's not really what it's about. What kind of impact are we leaving for others?
Yeah, so, I love it. I love it, man. That's great. So I'm curious, you and I have talked a lot about this. In fact, you just said earlier, when you're feeling down, you find that going out and serving others has been helpful. You even called me like a month ago, like looking for some advice on like some nonprofits and all. But talk to me about like generosity and community, and how do you kind of see that? And what do you think is kind of like your role in supporting those things?
Well, I think mindset's everything, because growing up, when you come up from a scarcity mindset, it's hard. It's easy for me to say, hey, why don't you just tithe 10%? That's what the Bible says, right? It says tithe 10%. But tithe is not just about money. Money, time, talents, all the other things. When we change our mindset on, I can't outgive God. I can't outgive anything. But you change the way you show up. And you're not showing up for me. I'm showing up because I want to make an impact for others. And when you start from that mindset and that mentality, it's a game changer. There's so many people out there that are bound up that they might have financial wealth, but they have no relationship. And when you have no relationship and you have financial wealth, you're miserable. And we see that daily. People commit suicide and all this crazy stuff that's going on with men. And I think the truth of it is we got to get honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we've got to get down on our knees and say, Lord, I need some relationships around me, because some of the deepest, darkest moments I've ever had, it's ironic how I'll get a text from somebody I hadn't heard from forever. Say, hey, man, I'm thinking about you. Let's go grab coffee. Let's go grab lunch. When somebody is prompted to your heart, you have to make that reach. And I think about that every day. Who can I go impact? On the way to work, if somebody pops in, when you stop or you get to that office, you text them, you call them. Man, you never know that reach and how you come across could be the one saving grace that person needs today. And so I think that that's a high probability for me and a high responsibility that I got to show up big, not just for me, for your legacy, that nobody's going to, in 15 years, nobody's going to remember the mortgage career Ryan had. It's not going to matter. What's going to matter is at the end of my life, I'm going to show up one day and the Lord's going to say, hopefully, well done, good and faithful servant. That's how I look at things.
Yeah. So you just said something that I think is just like a really important topic for leaders, but you talked about sometimes when you've been in this really dark or lonely place. Talk a little bit about what has been your experience in the isolation effect that leaders feel, right? Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. Like, where have you seen that like play out in your life? And then where have you seen how you've kind of trumped that or moved past that, if you don't mind?
I love it. I love it. So I think for me, being a super process-oriented guy, let's just use mortgages for an example. Beginning of the month, end of the month. The month is here. I want to hit this number at the end of the month. It doesn't matter who you are. When you hit that number, it's never as good as what you think it is, ever. Because it could always be another comma, another decimal, it's just what it is. The pursuit of the goal is where we find the most satisfaction. Most high leaders that I sit down and I talk to say, man, tell me about what's going on. Struggling with all these things over here. This outside looks amazing, but I think it's not being transparent with themselves and then having these crazy thoughts. I'm a big guy that, believe it or not, every day when I get to my office, I have a yellow 8.5 by 14, and I journal out thoughts of what's going on in my mind. And when you go back and you read some of those crazy thoughts, it's some wild stuff. And you probably would be like, man, I'm kind of shocked you were thinking that, right? But it's the truth. It's the truth. But I'm big on, hey, look,
I wouldn't actually, because I'll go back and read my journal sometimes, and I'm like, what was I worried?
What was I freaking out about?
Why was I
really
upset about that?
But I'm a big John Gordon guy, right? John Gordon says you can't be thankful, you can't be grateful and stressed out at the same time, and that's so true. I take a 10 to 15 minute gratitude walk every single morning with my dog, and it's dark and I'm out there praying. There's little bitty hacks that I could help people with that they can also, I've learned, hey, it's right here. And so the goal is I want to hit this at the end of the month. I hit it and I'm never satisfied. And I think a lot of high leaders feel that when we're sitting down, it's like, man, your year was amazing. Yeah, but I could have done something better. But I could. It's something. Whatever,
it's the but, right?
Yeah, it's the but, right? But I think it goes back to the gap. We're focused on the gap, not the gain. I used to be here, and I'm here. My marriage used to be at a 6, now it's at an 8. My faith used to be at a 4, and now it's at a 10. Whatever it is, we got to focus on that, and we have to share those wins with others. A lot of times we don't do that, and I think that's a place where a lot of people wind up in a lonely spot. I really see that often, and it's our job and it's our responsibility to show up and say, hey man, what can I help you with? What you struggling with? I'm so past the, hey, how's everything going? Everything's great. Tell me what's not great. We're not going to have a pity party, but tell me what I can help you with, because I promise you got some stuff you can help me with. Right?
I'm laughing. We had a Vistage speaker one time. He said, fine is a 4-letter word.
Ooh,
like,
yes.
hey, how are you? I'm fine.
Fine.
He's like, dig in. There's something going on. There's no one is ever fine who says they're fine, right?
Amen.
All right, so I'm curious, Synergy One, like talk to us a little bit about this. I mean, you said about a year ago you guys got it. Okay, so where's it going? What are you excited about? What does the team look like? I saw a picture the other day. I didn't realize how many people you had on your team.
Yeah.
It's kind of impressive.
Well, thank you. We have a great group of individuals. The cool thing, I'm coached nationally, okay, and I think when you get around high achievers and just high impact players, you start don't read your own press clippings, okay,
yes.
Which I never do. It doesn't matter. But I think the way that this entire industry and the financial world is changing like so rapidly.
Yeah.
I get kind of annoyed with AI and all this, but the truth of it is it's here and it's impacting all of our businesses. And one of the things that one of the reasons why we made the move, it's speed, ease, and expertise. Okay, you have to be able to move quickly. You have to have the expert. And at the end of the day, we got to make sure that the things that we're offering our clients to help them achieve one of the biggest milestones that most of them could ever achieve, that we do it in a very professional way. And it's not that we didn't have that in the past. I just feel like things have changed so quickly.
Yeah.
We have the availability to do things in today's environment that honestly I never thought were possible. And we're doing them, and we're closing loans, and we're just trying to make the experience better.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of great companies out there, and thank goodness that it's not a one size fits all. That I just felt that this was the best move for us as we're moving forward into the new future of where things are. The company is based out of San Diego, but we're here. We have 33 folks that are in our office right here locally, and we're helping people all across the country. So I can do a loan anywhere, and my team can as well. But I think kind of going back to the big thing, this is not a me thing, it's not a Ryan thing. It's a team effort, and kind of going back to, we're able to impact a lot of families, man. We help 25 to 30 families, just my little small team, a month. And so 250 to 300 families a year, we don't take that lightly. You know? And so that's kind of where we are, who we are, and if you cut us, we bleed, man. We bleed. We want to help. We want to help as many people as we can, and I think it's our duty to do that. Yeah,
awesome. Okay, so if we think about like legacy and impact, and I know I love hearing what you're talking about with your mentorship and what you're doing for the next generation of leaders. But talk to me a little bit about like, what do you want the legacy to be for Ryan?
Yeah, that's good. Something I don't take lightly. I think about it every day. I think at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, and man, it's kind of an impact. It's wild that you and I are sitting here today. So I was with my mother-in-law Saturday when she passed away.
Yeah.
And here's one thing that you can, thank you. Here's one thing that you can bet. It didn't matter what she had or what she didn't have. The most important thing was who was surrounding her. And I had the great privilege and honor, my wife to be there and family to be there. And that's really what it's all about. I have 2 kids. And I hope that at the end of the day that they would say that guy showed up with integrity, that he was a man that was after God's heart, and that he was just a great leader. I don't want anything to say about the financial success or the mortgages or how many properties he owned or what he did. What did he do for others? That's what I think is the most important. And I think when I'm standing before God one day, like I said, I hope that he says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." I put all these things in front of you, and you did something with them versus you didn't use the talents, the treasures that I gave you. So that's kind of where I wake up every day with that focus. My wife sometimes says you need to kind of calm down because I'm a pretty intense guy.
No, I don't think you've ever been accused of that. Don't worry, I can share that.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I hope. That's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah. Well, I know you and I have gotten to be friends over the last year or so. Yeah. We've got to hang out a little bit, and I just love your heart and your energy and everything that you're bringing to our community. And I know you're doing it in very unique ways that almost feel like or to me, it looks like they're just very natural for you.
The first time I thought about that on the way over here today. Yeah. The first time we met was at Healing Place at an event that Julio had put on. We were standing in the back table.
What's the guy's name? He was awesome. Yeah. I can't think of his name right now. The guy that came in and spoke that day.
Yeah, well, you had John Gordon came to one of them, and Jay Johnson was sitting in the front row.
Yeah, but this was the guy that was he's from like Iowa.
Oh yeah. Gosh, you're gonna.
Anyway.
But anyway, Blasius says, "Hey, I got this guy that you got to meet." And sure enough, you're right there. And you know, I kind of look back.
That
at
was
things
day
like
one
that.
for you, by the way.
I know.
Because I remember you saying, today is the day.
Today is the day.
That's right.
Today is the day. So I thought about that on my way over here. Just super thankful. Again, relationships are everything.
Yeah.
Who knew that a year from now, however long it's been, we would be sitting here having this conversation. I'm super honored that you'd bring me aboard. You guys are doing amazing work. And I just can't wait to see where this thing takes us.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Thank you, brother.
You
Appreciate
bet, man.
it.
Good
man.
to see you.